Fantasy Suites, my favorite episode. It's like the ultimate cliffhanger for the season, and this one was just, oh, so emotional. So we pick up where we left off last week with Madison pulling Peter aside after the rose ceremony because she's struggling with moving to the next level of fantasy suites and engagement. How her faith is everything to her and she's saved herself for marriage. And I'm just wondering, like, how the heck is she going to approach this one? It's like when Colton pulled Chris Harrison aside and was like, hey, I know next week it's fantasy suites and I'm a virgin. What do I do? So she sits down next to him. In this close-up, Peter looks like Frankenstein. And she's very straightforward with him and just flat out says, if you sleep with someone else, I don't know how I'll be able to move forward. Bam, right to the point. And Peter responds with, I can't spend the night with someone else? Peter, yes, that's what she's saying. And then followed by, are you asking me to end this all? Which to me implies that if he's in a relationship with someone, which he's in a relationship with 3, he's going to bang them. She says she's not trying to give him an ultimatum, which I do think is the truth. It's just all around a really screwed up situation, like I've said before. I feel like you have to treat it as your own individual relationship. Or how do you move on? You don't have to do dirty things, you know? If you know you want to be with Madison, or even if you don't have to do inappropriate things. Emily Maynard didn't, neither did Sean Lowe. I'm sure there are plenty of others, but I just know that I would struggle if I were the one chosen in the end. And not because of my faith, but because just like, hello, no thanks. But we don't really get any closure from that conversation. Peter just tells her he's crazy about her. And based on the previews for this episode, we know that that is just not enough for Madison. Yeah. So we get to Australia, the Gold Coast to be exact, and Peter can't think of a more romantic place to fall in love. Sounds familiar. This place, along with every other place, including Cleveland, Ohio. Madison is the first one we see walk into her room, and shortly after we see Hannah Ann walk into the same room, and then in comes Victoria. They're all staying together. This is just the producer's season of The Bachelor. Granted, the girls have given them a lot of ammo to work with. If Madison could have just waited until they got to Australia to tell Peter that she couldn't have him sleeping with anybody else, they might all have their own room. And Victoria clearly doesn't like this situation because it's so awkward. Really? Sorry, I'm still holding a little bit of a grudge from last week and every other week. So Peter comes in to grab the first girl for a date, and it's Hannah Ann. I'm also thinking Victoria has like a disadvantage right now, right? Based on her hometown. But does she really? I don't know, because Peter might think they have the best relationship if we're basing present day off past events. But they leave for their fantasy suite date, and in Madison's interview, she's like, hey, I told him what I want. The ball's in his court now. But are those balls in his court or are they in Hannah Ann's, if you know what I mean? So Hannah Ann and Peter go jet skiing, and they each have their own individual jet ski. But somewhere along the way, she jumps off of hers and goes onto his, just leaves hers behind. And it's very irresponsible. Did you even get approval for that? Not important. Then they sit on the beach and have a conversation, and she's back at it with the smiles and the blinky eyes. But they had a good conversation, I thought. She's reassuring him that she will always be there even if she's not the one picked in the end. Just a lot of sharing of feelings. And he says he's falling in love with her. Not, I love her yet, like with Madison. Not yet. But based on how Peter and Hannah Ann are macking there on the beach, Madison's going to be very upset tonight. And Peter says, if this is what love is, then this is true love. Well, if I hold an apple in my hand and say, if this is an apple, then it is. What? No, do you see how this is confusing? Now, over at the hotel, Victoria and Madison are talking. And Victoria is really trying to dig her nose into Madison's business and find out what they were talking about when she pulled him aside after the rose ceremony. She just can't mind her own business. Madison vaguely kind of shares her feelings, and Victoria responds by saying it's important for Peter to spend a night with everybody because he'll be waking up next to this person for the rest of his life. And we find out that she is clearly the test drive the car before you buy it type of person. Then we see a commercial for seniors looking for love on The Bachelor. And I know people have been complaining that the show keeps picking girls that are just too young, and can we get some more mature, older people here? But I think they may have taken that just a little too seriously. Or perhaps this franchise thinks that 35-year-old women are seniors. And now we get to the dinner portion of Hannah Ann and Peter's date. She says this is not just any other date. This is the fantasy suite date. No, Hannah Ann, you're not supposed to know that until you get Chris Harrison's card that asks you if you want to forego your individual rooms for the fantasy suite with a very special key. Otherwise, you have no idea. That's how it used to be, and I liked it that way. Now, one key part of this conversation is where Peter tells Hannah Ann that he knows with every fiber of his being that he is falling in love with her. That's important, I think. I originally did not think she was top contender, but now he's sharing all of these love lines, the special letter from last week, and we find out Hannah Ann is not like Madison because she tells Peter he can do whatever he needs to do to get to the end of this. What's important is that they end up together at the end. It's easy to say now, but Hannah Ann, keep in mind you will have to deal with your husband's makeouts being televised for the rest of time. You'll have to deal with the fact that he tried to get his ex, Hannah Brown, to join the show, and he thinks Sydney is a better kisser than you. Now, I'm wondering which order is best for fantasy suites. I would think either first or last. If you go first, it like leaves an impression maybe. Last, there's nobody in between. I don't know. It's just all around not good. So they get their invitation, and of course Hannah Ann's not going to turn down more quality time with Peter. That's right, quality time. Then they get to the room, eat some dessert, pop some more of Kelsey's champagne, and they're kissing a lot. And then we see a hand silhouette on the bathroom door. And do we know if that's really them or is it a producer gimmick? Because there's really no way to know these days. It's probably like two straight men back there trying to recreate this makeout scene for the sake of viewership. And back at the hotel, Victoria is rubbing it in Madison's face.
He's definitely going to ask her to stay the night, and she's definitely going to say yes.
She's a bad girlfriend. She's a bad friend. Then Hannah Ann comes back, says it went really well, and that's about it. It's awkward. And 2 seconds later, Victoria gets up to go get ready for her date. The day after. Basically the same morning of the last fantasy suite. How will Peter even have enough stamina? Sorry, I need to stop it with the dirty jokes. Eventually. And now it's Victoria and Peter's date. Peter's first goal is to address the last conversation that they had in Virginia. And how does he address it? He says he trusts her, he has her back, and let's just leave this all behind us. What do you trust, Peter? Did she even give you any explanation at all? I can answer that. No, but I admit I'm okay with it because I need to put a little bit of a break on the drama and have some good vibes. So they get in a helicopter and they're touring the coast, which was pretty cool. And Peter admits that he's attracted to the crazy fire that they have. It's never going to be a boring relationship. And is this like a post-production interview? Did they see everybody's hate comments towards him about how he's rewarding this crazy behavior? And now he has to defend himself. Yeah, you know what? I like it. Never had a relationship that's been tried as hard as ours has. And I don't know why. You don't know why? But luckily, they're laughing and having fun and talking about how they're not even fighting. That's a problem. Okay? But now they're apparently on the same page. And at the hotel, Madison is still talking about the challenges of Fantasy Week. She has made it very clear that this is difficult. But she says she has high standards and hopes that he would too. And I say, good for you, Madison. This is your future husband. And she also tells Hannah Ann that him sleeping with other women is a make or break. And Hannah Ann is turned off by that. Turned off by someone's opinion? That must mean you slept with him. No other explanation. And when it comes time for dinner with Victoria, Peter, I guess, makes a point that he's learned a lot about her through their issues. Why he sticks around after what he's learned, that is the question. Now, Victoria rationalizes her behavior by blaming it on her past relationship of 3 years, aka not Chase Rice. Apparently, this guy never asked her about her feelings, and she always felt like she wasn't good enough. And Peter, thank goodness, basically says, listen up, lady, you need to not get so pissed off with everything that I say to you. And then he asks her why she never felt good enough in the relationship, and she can't really give an answer, probably because it's not a real thing. This is me just guessing, okay? I don't know anything about her in her past relationship. But she can't give an answer, and she starts crying and saying, I don't know what you want. Like putting the blame on him again for the trouble that's going on right now. This shouldn't be that hard to talk about. I feel like her behavior is what you see when people get caught in lies. I don't know why else she would act like that. Definitely not Peter's fault that you're upset. And he's doing everything in his power to comfort her confused and just broken soul. And they get their fantasy suite card, and yes, they're going. And the minute they walk through the room, which, yeah, it was a very nice room, but Victoria says,
oh my gosh, stop. Wait, stop. Oh my gosh, stop. It's so cute. Oh.
Stop. But based on the tear-filled interview that she has shortly afterwards, I think it probably is true that something in her past really did screw with her, and maybe is a direct reflection as to why she acts the way that she does. Which is unfortunate, but it doesn't mean that there aren't still issues. Clear issues. But the date ends and they both feel like they're in a good place, and Victoria is officially in love. And then Peter says he's in love with 3 women. Doesn't specify that Victoria's one of them. I'm sure she is. But this is three women. Remember when it was such a big deal that Ben Higgins was in love with 2? Well, next season it's going to be 4 women. And then in the year 2026, it's going to be 9 women. Meanwhile, Madison is back at the house and still very uncomfortable. Victoria comes home and Madison asks if she got the clarity that she was hoping for. And Victoria says, yeah, it was productive. Productive. Emotional production, perhaps physical production. And then Madison awkwardly gets up and leaves. And Victoria and Hannah Ann are like, what's wrong with her? Maybe they just can't understand her feelings because they like to share their lady bits. But now it's time for Madison's date, and Peter is so giddy with her again. You just don't see it with the other girls. I'm sure Madison's bubbly personality helps, but it's on a different level. And today, they're climbing a building. That's a new idea. Hey, what should we do today? Oh, I don't know. You want to scale a building? So they're zooming up the elevator to the 77th floor. Their ears are popping, and I'm getting anxiety. I can't even see how high they're going. I'm not there. No idea. I still can't stand it. Now, originally I thought they were actually climbing the side of the building, but it's just climbing stairs that are on the side of the building. But still, holy crap. And I know at the time they were doing this, Madison was making some dumb Bachelor analogy about heights, and Peter, I think, might have said that he loved her. I don't even know. Could not pay attention because I was so nervous. And now we again cut to Victoria and Hannah Ann, and they're gossiping about Madison. I feel like Hannah Ann doesn't want to gossip, but misery loves company, and Victoria just eats that stuff for breakfast. So they're kind of trash talking Madison and her struggles and what she's asking Peter to do, and Victoria says it's an ultimatum. She gets all catty again.
It's so unfair, and he shouldn't feel bad about his decisions.
She's like really upset about this. Why are you that upset? At this point, he either did it with you guys or he didn't. And maybe you're angry because he didn't do it with you, and now you think it's Madison's fault. And now we have dinner with Madison. And this is the moment of truth because we know she has a lot of important things to share. And it's also 9:34 p.m., so it's not really looking like there's a sleepover on the way. Right at the very beginning, Peter says that he's in love with her and he just needs to be flat out honest. Why be honest? There's really no reason to need to be honest unless you did the unspeakable. So we know it's coming. So he tells her he's been going through a lot since their past conversation about intimacy, and he's torn about it because there are 2 other relationships. Then Madison comes out and makes it known that she is saving herself for marriage. And she articulated this conversation very, very well. You know, she usually throws in a lot of likes, like we've talked about, and there were hardly any in this. And I feel like that's how you know it's very important to her. And Peter responds by saying that he respects her views, but his aren't the same. It's black and white. And her rebuttal is that she would not be able to move forward if he had slept with any of the other women. And this is like deja vu of Luke P. I stuck up for him then, and I still do, and I'm going to stick up for Madison too. It's their beliefs, people, and this is a future marriage. But also, does she not know about the windmill? And now Peter questions if she can really truly walk away from this whole thing because of something that happened in one of the other relationships. And right on cue, the sad music starts. And we know something just awful is about to come. I really commend her for what she did, and then also commend Peter for being honest. This whole thing was for real heartbreaking. She doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want her to leave, but she needs to stick to her morals. I was getting teary-eyed through this. Could have been the sad music, but then Peter flat out tells her he was intimate. Doesn't specify how many girls, but at least one of them. And then we see Madison's face, and you can just rip my heart right out of my chest. And to add salt to the wound, he unfortunately tells her that he can see a future, not only with her, but with the other girls as well. Really not helping your situation here, Pete. And then Madison excuses herself. But can we just for a minute imagine if this were Victoria in the same situation? Would she be so poised? No. She might punch Peter or murder him. And now we get in just awfully timed commercial break. And there's a preview of The Bachelor's Listen to Your Heart. What is this crap? I'm sorry, everyone, if you're going to watch it, but you cannot expect me to recap that garbage. So back to Peter and Madison. Madison is crying. The poor girl, she is like the only one who has stayed tough throughout this whole season, hasn't shed any tears. And then Peter is crying, like flowing down his face. And this whole thing just sucks. Like, you two are meant to be together. And this is why his mom cries, isn't it? Because I'm feeling exactly how she's feeling. Which again, my prediction, everyone. Now, I see both sides here. I want to be on Madison's side, and pretty much I am. But then there's also the side of this is The Bachelor, unfortunately, because The Bachelor breaks the rules of life. If we were in real life, Madison wins. So Peter goes and finds her, and he hugs her, and with tears falling, he tells her he can't lose her. And she feels torn between what she needs and how she feels about him. And I'm just like, please don't leave, Madison. You are the only good thing about this whole entire season. And then the way he's begging for her not to leave is like a legit scene straight out of Notebook, and I almost cried. This is the Bachelor stuff that I like. The good, just love, you know? Show me the love. And then Madison, she walks away. Does that mean she left the show? We don't know. But the previous show, she's not at the rose ceremony, and there are lots more tears and apologies from Peter. Don't know who he's apologizing to. I hope it's Madison. But it could be like, I'm sorry that I made you guys think Madison was the one for me and put you on the back burner. I made a mistake. Please don't leave me. And then we again see his mom, the iconic scene, telling Peter to go get her. And I agree. Go get her, Peter. Bring her home to us. And then they have to show previews of the stupid women tell all. And I don't care. Go away, Tammy. Go away, Sydney. Just go away, every single one of you, because I need to find out what happens with Madison. That's it. But whatever, I will see you guys next week for Stupid Women Tell All, even though I don't want to have to see all these dumb women again, except for hopefully Sarah's there. Okay, that's it. See you guys next week.